Well, howdy everybody, it's Caboose. And as you can see, we got paint. Let's talk about it. So, I finally got most of the paint complete. As you can see, we are Aspen Gold, single black stripe with silver on the bottom. But there's a few things that I wanted to talk about when it comes to the paint. And also, we have windows now too. So I found a contractor that'll do the windows. They took care of it. It looks gorgeous. I found a contractor that'll do the paint, but I want to talk about that. So I am no stranger to telling everybody and being very open on how much this project costs in case you are looking to buy either a caboose or a rail car or something of your own. There's a lot of costs that go into it, and there's not many resources online that tell you everything that you need to know. So I am here to help you with that. There will be another video going over the total costs of everything, but if you are curious, please just leave a comment down below. I will gladly answer them. But I wanted to talk about how I got burned. So there are not many places out there that will paint a caboose when you call someone up and say, hey, I have a train car, a caboose, that I need paint on. Can you help me? A lot of places will tell you, no, we've never done something like that before, we don't want to. Even though it's just a piece of metal. So if you can paint a metal building, you can paint a caboose. Now, I decided instead of trying it myself that I would hire a professional for a few different reasons. The first one being, I've never done something like this before. I have painted a wall or two in my house, but that's about the extent of my painting knowledge. And I did not feel that I could do it justice. There would be a lot of trial and error, a lot of mistakes made, and on something like this, I didn't want all those mistakes to show through. So I decided to go the route of hiring a professional. There were probably about a dozen companies that I called, and 3 of which that were actually willing to help with this. So 2 of them were local companies, and 1 of them was a national chain. The quotes for all 3 were within a few $100s of each other. So I knew we were in the right ballpark, and I knew what I was expecting to pay was actually about what it would cost to paint this. So I talked to all 3 of them. The first local company didn't really seem that interested. It was just another job to them. I talked to them a lot about making sure the details are right, because there's a lot of nuances, how thick the stripe is, how the handrails are a different color here than they are here, than they are there, getting the roof right, and getting just everything as it was as built, so that I could bring this back to its as-built configuration and make it look good. The second local company that I talked to, they were very enthusiastic. We talked about the details for at least 1 or 2 hours on everything that I wanted done, everything that he, thought would be possible, maybe a few places we could change some things, just do a little bit differently, not really change the color or the paint scheme. And he seemed to have a lot of passion for this project as well, especially talking at length. And then the big box, the national chain that I talked to, they were also very detail oriented, and we talked about a lot of different things, but I decided I wanted to support my local businesses. So I went with the second company that I had talked to, the local company that was very keen on the details, just like I was. Unfortunately, things started to fall apart a little bit. I got about the same time frame from all of them, 3 to 4 weeks to complete the project, so there could be multiple coats and dry time and any weather contingencies as well. And 3 to 4 weeks to me sounded great. It would have been plenty of time to get the logo done because it was early summer of 2023 when this was happening. But as you can see, there's no logo. And now we get into how I got burned. So initially, just like all of them, it was 50% of the cost up front for materials and all that, and then the rest of the cost at the end when everything is done, which by me was completely okay. So I paid the gentleman 50% up front started working on it, got the entire caboose primed, got everything primed to the front coupler on this, which I wasn't too keen on. As you can see, it is silver. I did ask him not to paint it. He decided to paint it anyway. I don't know why there was a communication breakdown there, but it wasn't the only thing. So he painted the coupler. I told him not to, paint the rear one, and he did not paint the rear coupler, which I am very happy about. But now I do have a silver front coupler. Maybe I can find the gold one day, but for now I just have the silver one. So a few other spots that he did not quite take care of. Right here you can see the stripe is of constant width, but on the other side he did paint it right. From about here to here it's supposed to be wider, so that the numbers, which will be painted white, have a big enough background to be on. It's actually about here to here. You can still see the old paint marks from when this was painted from the Rio Grande. So it's not like you couldn't see it. And then all the way over here, this angle is a little bit too steep. It's actually supposed to come out to about here. And again, you can still see the original paint marks from the Rio Grande. So why they decided not to do that, and it's like this on both sides, I do not know, but that is where we currently stand at the moment. A few other things that happened. So for the first 3 weeks, he was going gung-ho. We got the Aspen Gold done, we got the black stripe done, and then it came time for the silver to do all the platforms and everything else. And that's when things kind of started falling apart. He would miss my calls, not answer me, not message me back, not communicate very well what was going on. Told me that there were some medical things going on that he had to take care of, which I'm a very understanding person, so I gave him plenty of time. And then right before we did the silver, he asked for another 25% so that he could get the supplies. And being a small business, I understand that. You might not have the financial backing to do everything all at once. So we, talked about it a little bit. We came to an agreement. I gave him a little bit more money so he could get the rest of the supplies. And he came back and did the silver, which I think looks great. It took us a little while to find the right silver, at least for his eyes. A lot of them were a little bit too gray or not quite metallic enough. And it's hard to say what silver was used originally from the Rio Grande, because there was a bunch of different colors. Even Aspen Gold, there's about 10 different Aspen Golds, depending on who you ask, what paint supplier you use or go to try and match the color. There's a lot of sun fade on a lot of different locomotives and rolling stock that's out there that are still Aspen Gold. So there's 10 different shades, 20 different shades, 50 different shades of Aspen Gold, depending on who you ask. This is a little bit too yellow to be proper Aspen Gold as far as my eyes see. But again, it's subjective, and I'm okay with how it turned out. I think it looks great. Yes, I'm aware it's not quite the right color, but it's close enough. So after him and I talked about that, he came back, started doing some more work. Now at this point, we're about 2 months in, and then he kind of ghosts me again for a little bit, comes back, surprises me that he came back and did a little bit more. And now we're getting close to the 3 month. He came out like every Sunday to work on it in between other jobs that he had promised deadlines on, kind of putting me on the back burner, because I had told him I'm not in any rush to get this done. If it's done by the summer, I'm happy. I just wanted to get everything done. So he was probably working on some other commercial contracts that actually had deadlines that needed to get done. Again, I'm very understanding, and I was understanding this. And then a lot of the detail work, again with the black stripe on the doors, there's still a black border around the doors from when the Department of Defense had this caboose painted flat black, which they did a horrible job of, which is another reason why I wanted to have a professional try and recreate what this was originally. So there were just a lot of things kind of falling apart. So I talked to him and said, look, we only have a few more weeks of summer before the weather starts turning here in Colorado. So let's try and get everything done. You know, I wanted to get the logo done. I have somebody who's going to do the logo because it is a fairly large project as well, given the size of it. And I want to try and get that on before the summer is out. Unfortunately, it just never happened, and it took some threats of legal action against him in order to come out and finish up what he had, as well as give me the rest of the paint and the paint codes that he used so that I can finish the project on my own. So I'm very upset with everything that happened, but at this point it is what it is. You can't change the past. I can't go back and tell myself, hey, don't hire this person, hire the national chain. So sometimes you just have to be careful of who you hire and what you want. Make sure your visions align, and things just kind of fell apart a little bit. But it is what it is. It was a great learning experience, and at the end of the day, it still looks a lot better than it did in the previous video of just being completely rusted, faded paint, and the horrible condition that it was in previously. It is starting to look a lot better on the exterior. So speaking of the exterior, we do have windows. That took a lot more work than I thought it would in order to get done. I probably went through 2 to 3 dozen different companies before I finally found somebody willing to even attempt it. The windows are just like truck windows, single pane on the exterior on the sides. And luckily we were able to track down the right gasket that would work for the window thickness and the steel thickness that we had. So we were able to get all 6 windows on either side complete, as well as the sliding windows on the cupola done. They were completely shattered on one side, and the back door glass, as well as one front window on the cupola facing the A end facing this way. That did turn out to be a little bit more expensive than I thought, but some of the glass was 4-pane laminated glass. When the FRA came out and said you need bulletproof glass for all windows, that's when the side windows were blanked off and they put 4-pane laminated glass in all the other spots, so that drove the price up immensely. The side windows were actually relatively cheap to do. It was those 4 panes that really got expensive very quickly. So there's still a few things that need to get done on the exterior. There's a little bit of overspray on the trucks that I'm going to take care of. And in a few spots that are hard to see, like on the back of the stairs right here, it is actually still primer. It was never fully completed. I have to redo some areas of the platform. I need to touch up the doors, of course, get the striping right on the side to make sure that it looks like it was as it was built. And a few other just very miscellaneous things. Touch the roof up a little bit. There's a tiny bit of overspray on the roof that you will never see unless you climb up there, but I am aware of it, so I have to fix it. Very soon this year, I will start work on the interior. I know I've said that before, but with everything that was happening, as well as different jobs that were happening at the time, I just was not able to complete it. But I have a plan, so that work will get started soon. Obviously the silver coupler I'm going to bring back to metal. We're going to try and get the paint off there with some paint remover, and then we'll wire wheel off the rest of it and make it look not like a silver coupler, although again, hopefully one day I get to find the golden coupler. But that is about it for the update for January of 2024. If you feel like I deserve a like or a subscribe, I do greatly appreciate it. During the summer, hopefully there will be more updates. Again, once we get the logo on, it will start coming together a little bit more on the exterior, and I will be documenting and filming the interior renovation process as well. Again, we are all bare steel walls in there and a rotted out wood floor, so all of that is going to be replaced. We'll get new insulation and new siding on the walls inside. We're going to do full ceiling and everything on it, get electricity, get heating and cooling in here. So it's going to be a rather fun project to get all of that taken care of, hopefully by the end of this year, if not the end of 2025. So thank y'all for sticking around. I very much appreciate each and every one of you that is watching this video. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them down below. I will answer every one of them to the best of my ability. I know we do still need to do a kind of history of the Caboose and talk about that, so that will be coming later in the year, so keep an eye out for that, as well as the interior renovation and a new series, or a old series, depending on when you're watching this video, of building my HO model train set will be coming to the channel as well. So keep a lookout for that, and I thank you very much for watching and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening.